also Billy Napier's, I think, one of the best, at exactly what we're talking about right now. So those guys right there have really kind of groomed me, and I've kind of pulled things from each spot and each coach, and really try to do my best.
So what was this about Brian Fisher that 8 of the Division I fall championship sports have crossed now the 50% threshold of people who have canceled?
Thought I'd seen something about the 50% thing.
Welcome to Sikkim 365 Radio.
Brewer is going to run. Brewer pushing. Touchdown.
Sikkim 365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
Rodgers feeling pressure from behind, but then Griffin is able to run him down.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
Brewer to throw for it. Got a man in the end zone, and it's caught. Touchdown. Denzel Mims for the score, beating Anthony Johnson.
Have you downloaded the Sikkim 365 Radio app? Do it today on the App Store and Google Play. Here's David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
All right, here we go on this Thursday, the 13th of August. Thursday, Sikkim 365 Radio, and numerous guests today from all the different angles. Our regular Thursday guest, Max Olson, covers college football at 4. Mickey Spagnola covers the Cowboys. He'll join us at 4:30. Also today, former Baylor defensive back for Kedrick Vaughn's joining that staff at West Mesquite. Bo Porter's there. Frank Sandoval used to coach under Joey McGuire. And then also today, we're going to hear from Charlie Brewer for the first time in a long time, plus also offensive coordinator Larry Fedora. Jovan Overshaw will join us from Baylor Athletics on many things about what they have dealt with and also how they have handled this pandemic and how it's made them better during the difficult times. Paul Catalina, Craig Smoke, you guys, we were able to listen to some of Larry Fedora, some of Charlie Brewer, we'll have a couple of comments here, anything among those of what you heard that stood out the most to you?
I thought it was telling that Larry Fedora, I thought that they were come along pretty well, even in spite of only having a little bit of on-field work, so he was encouraged by that. He made no bones about how they're further back in the process than he ever would have been in his entire career, but he feels good about where they are. And it does sound to me, kind of reiterating what we talked about yesterday, that this coaching staff didn't step into a rebuild. They've got mature players that are ready to play and play at a high level. They took over an 11-2 team, for crying out loud, so it doesn't seem like they're swimming too far upstream.
Yeah, it seems like he and Fedora and Brewer have a really good relationship. I think that's going to be, one where there's a lot of chemistry, a lot of thinking along the same lines. Charlie said that the offense they're running now under Larry is similar to what he ran at Lake Travis back in the day, and we know how much success he had with that Lake Travis offense. So he said it's going to be a lot of tempo, a lot of speed. They're going to establish a running game and establish the running game, but also take shots down the field. So I think that's what a lot of fans like to hear, run game and shots down the field. It sounds like, they're going to have a lot of options at their disposal with the receivers and running backs. Fedora was complimentary of the running backs and the receivers for that matter. But, it's just kind of checking in. And obviously Fedora did not watch any tape from last year. He's just not the type of guy to do that. So there were a couple of questions people asked that he just didn't simply have an answer to because it was referring to last year, and that's not anything that matters to him. So this is all clean slate, brand new, and a lot of work to still be done, but seems like things are going pretty well.
All right, Paul, the 254 saying there's an echo. There's a bad echo. Not sure what that's about, but we'll try to fix that out. Thank you very much on the Riverbend Liquor and Wine text line for letting us know that. Craig Smoke, Paul Catalina, David Smoke as well. A couple of headlines, and then we're going to hear from Charlie Brewer and also from Fedora. This initially looked like it was like, wait a minute, what's going on here? Matt Baker from the Tampa Bay Times. Whoa. FSU President John Thrasher saying the ACC presidents are meeting at 4:30 today. Thinks it will be the final decision of whether to play. And then Ross Dellinger came in and said this was a scheduled meeting. Now, that doesn't mean that they may not look at things differently. And again, from the 254 and the 678, the Echo. Thanks for the time. Paul fixed it. We're good. That kind of made my heart jump a little bit. Like it was something new. And who knows what it might be. But it was planned. Also, Southland Conference, that my alma mater. Stephen F. Austin, Sam Houston State, where Zach Robotic just committed to, but this is now, not next year. Abilene Christian. Schools throughout the state of Texas and elsewhere have opted to play their season in 2021 spring. That's in this state. I didn't get this part. You guys help me. I've tried to dig into this. Brian Fisher, as of noon today, all 8 Division I fall championship sports have crossed the 50% cancellation mark, meaning there will be no NCAA championships this fall. D1 Council next week to either cancel outright or postpone to spring. Wait a minute. Have that many teams canceled in FBS?
I guess so. I mean,
I haven't seen it where it got below.
Some of the FCS teams are only FCS in football. They play like basketball or volleyball or something like that. They play in the same level.
So we're going to kind of dig into that a little bit as well. UIL says football games on Fridays can be televised. That's the first ever they're doing that so people can watch otherwise games. We'll have the Connolly Cadets games against all the teams in this McLennan County area, plus a couple of others, of course, on Fridays. Not only on this Sikkim 365 radio, but also on 106.7 FM, The Eagle. How about this? Brandon Campbell played at Pearland last year, now at Katy, says he's opting out of his senior year in high school. He's a USC commit. That's the first time I've heard that. A high school player saying that I'm opting out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that is senior year.
That's kind of crazy. And, one of the things that I've seen here lately is, one of the, I forget what commit it was, or it was actually this Caden Salter, the quarterback at Cedar Hill. He made an announcement. It made it sound like he wasn't going to play his senior season and enroll early at Tennessee. But that's the way he worded it, I guess, because the fall season's so uncertain. I don't know. But he's already announced he's going to enroll early. So we're seeing some of those types of things. Haven't seen a ton of guys saying they're not going to play their senior year of high school. So, yeah, that's new. And one thing that's been talked about but sort of lost in the shuffle of everything else that everybody's discussing is for these Big Ten schools, these Pac-12 schools. I mean, I've already seen it was some school out of the Big Ten that they're trying to make sure that I think it might have been Ohio State, is trying to make sure that early enrollees can play in the spring. So they're looking at the idea of not playing fall football, but still practicing, which nobody has been able to explain how that makes any sense whatsoever, because it makes zero sense whatsoever that they would practice but not play if COVID is that much of a concern. It just doesn't make any sense at all. But the other thing that doesn't make much sense is they're playing a spring season, and we've already got coaches in the Big Ten, Ohio State, advocating for a guy to play his senior season, early enroll, and then play for Ohio State in the spring. And then turn around and play in the fall again? How much sense does that make?
No, it doesn't make any sense at all. And that's Ryan Day is saying that because he also knows that he's going to have a numbers problem in the spring because a team like Ohio State, he'll have 15 guys that are just going to skip it and go to the draft.
Right.
I mean, and 5 of those guys won't get drafted, but they know that they're going to be in the NFL in 4 months, so it's not going to be worth it to them to play. And so he'll need the body.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. And they need to grab a hold of this. Nicole Arbach reporting the Ohio Valley Conference expected to announce they will postpone, which means pretty much all of the FCS is done.
Yeah. The 50% thing is just the cancellation of fall sports, I think. So, they're
there's still going to be a college football playoff release. It maintains final selection committee of the 2020 season will be released on December 20th. Semifinals, the Rose Bowl and Sugar Bowl, So, again, a lot of these things just have to be answered, and time maybe will give us that. Because if you still have the ACC, the Big 12, the SEC, and 2 or 3 others that get you past the 50 percentile of division or FBS, you should be able to have your playoff.
For football, yes, but for every other sport,
no.
Well, that's the thing. This is what that means is that if you get above that 50% threshold, which they're now, I believe, above, all fall sports that aren't football, their championships are automatically canceled. That's what that means. Yeah. So fall sports outside of football are pretty much canceled.
Yeah.
So there you go. That's what that means, and I guess they'll push that to the spring too. I don't know, like how many people have been fired through university layoffs that they will now rehire in the spring because they're going to have like double the number of employees to be able to handle all of the different events that are going to be going on simultaneously.
So you're going to lay them off in the fall and they're going to have to be back in the spring?
But they're not going to be, like, you could probably play volleyball in the spring. I mean, like that to me.
You could play volleyball in the spring.
Yeah, you could play a sport that has, but even then, you're still talking about percentages. If you've got, 3, I mean, I just think you play volleyball. You can play sports like that. You play tennis a little bit later. But a sport that is like football that has so many players, gigantic chunks of whom will leave and go to the next level of their professional lives, you can't do it. You cannot do it.
Well,
all right.
They're going to try to, and it looks like if you're the Big Ten, you're going to be starting football season in like January, which
I saw Jeff Brom. He put together kind of a nice little made sense. We'll have that a little bit later on.
Yeah, so you're going to be playing football there at the beginning of the year, and then you're going to have your regular spring sports, and you're also going to have all of your fall sports all at the same time. So think of a weekend at Baylor last year, for example, where they had like men's basketball in the early afternoon, women's basketball at night. They had volleyball or maybe not volleyball, softball going on across the street, and tennis going on across the street. Now double that, basically, because that's probably going to be some weekends for certain campuses.
We can never get to that point. It'll be fun as hell, though.
And then is it going to be safe to have whatever going on at that point? Like, I don't know. So, it's going to be crazy.
Demarion Alexander last night, China Spring, once committed to Minnesota, changed his mind. He's now committed to play for Les Miles at Kansas. He's a senior at China Spring. And also the Cowboys last night threw down some gauntlet.
Everson Griffin,
I was like, I kept seeing some Cowboys writers talking about him. I'm like, they must be just looking at the top. He signed with the Cowboys, and it seemed to be a very fan-friendly or team-friendly and player-friendly deal. Man, we'll get into that. Mickey will join us at 4:30.
Well,
here's Charlie.
Just on that, I think the fans probably all wanted Jadeveon Clowney because he hasn't been signed yet.
Bigger name, but Everson Griffin's good.
Everson Griffin's a really good player. He's more of what they need for money-wise right now. I think that's the best way to go.
All right, so Charlie Brewer and Larry Fedora today met with the media on Zoom. Brewer and good to hear from him. He's the guy on just being excited about playing the game.
Obviously very exciting. Excited that we're going to get to, play football this fall. I know that, all my teammates are excited, and I know the coaches are too. And, now we can kind of take a deep breath and, go get ready for the first game.
Now, Larry Fedora has mentioned he's not watched any of the previous film, right? He also mentioned that they're far behind because of the delays and no spring drills or whatever. And how that puts stress on the players, the mental strain of the delays and not having all of the practices that they've needed to have.
More importantly, what's it been like for the kids? That's the most important thing. And I feel really bad for these guys because it has been an emotional roller coaster. There's never been a class of kids or a group of kids that has ever dealt with anything like this in the history of the game, that I know of. And so we're asking them to do some things, and that's why we have to do a great job of thinking outside the box because the mental strain on them has been very difficult. Even just in the last few days of finding out, okay, we really are going to play football, and so there's been a big strain on them mentally, and there's no way for them to get out from under that strain. And so one of my concerns is how they're handling that. Everybody's, I'm doing fine. Well, what's the wear and tear on them in the long haul. What is that going to do to them? Do we need to cut back on how much we're installing? In the past, we've been able to do this, this, and this. Well, now, do we need to cut that back just to this? And if we're only going to cut it back to just to this, how do we get it done without the other this and this? So there's so many, variables that you don't control and we're not aware of. You just, you put together a plan, you explain it to your guys, you get them to believe in the plan, and then you do the best job you can.
And then Charlie Brewer, who I mentioned this maybe about a month and a half ago. I just happened to bump into him out and about, and of course they're being smart, but it was nothing. He was just somewhere. I saw him. He was so excited about this new offense, really thrilled about what they're going to try to do and what he thinks they can do. And he was asked about being now under the offense led by Larry Fedora.
Yeah, I think I think there's a lot of similarities from this offense to when I played in high school. We're going to play with, a lot of tempo. We're going to play fast. The ball is going to be out of my hand quickly. We're still going to establish a run game as well as take a lot of shots down the field. So I think you're going to see, some fast tempo and a lot of big plays, whether that's, a long run after tempo or, a shot down the field. We got the guys to do it, and I think we got the system that's going to allow us to do that.
Charlie Brewer, Baylor, senior to be quarterback. And then we had to throw this last one in. And then Kema, is it Kema Severan?
Just go with Kema Severan.
Kema Severan of the Seattle Seahawks has been cut. He was on video trying to sneak a woman into the team hotel.
Yeah, in Seahawks gear, team-issued gear. He is an undrafted rookie with a $2,000 signing bonus, willing to risk it all to have a little fun. I mean, these are the things that are going to derail sports this year, is little things, selfish things like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be stupid little things. It's not going to be, some big party because those aren't going to be allowed. Obviously those are going to get shut down pretty quick, but it's the guy that's going to sneak off to go get wings at the strip club, or which has happened already, or it's going to be the guys trying to sneak females into their hotel rooms. It's going to create a problem of sorts, potentially. And so, yeah, just a really dumb thing for him. I would bet that girl's probably not even calling him back at this point. He's no longer in the NFL. So.
Well, I mean, just get off. Tinder's not for you right now.
Yeah, so she was wearing Seahawks gear because they were trying to disguise her as a player. So I don't know how much she looked like an actual Seahawks player, but clearly not enough.
So either she was pretty tall, or I don't know. I mean, I'm just trying to figure out how they.
Yeah, not the most attractive woman in the world. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, he was trying to sneak her in as a player. So I'm not sure how he did that or thought that was going to work. So just a really dumb thing to do. And now you're out on the streets, and the thing is, you were not making that much money to begin with. Now you're making nothing, and there's not another league for you to go jump to. You don't have another option right now. All you have is the NFL. And sure, that wasn't guaranteed either, but it was for the meantime. And now, who knows when he gets another chance? Maybe some team comes calling, but I mean, am I going to really go out of my way to go try to get this guy on my team after reading the article about what he did? Heck no.
Well,
so
especially since you know that not only the coaches, but the veterans on the team have said, because any team, the Seahawks are good. So any team that's worth its salt, their veterans have probably stepped up and said, guys, this is what we have to do. Here's what it is. I know that you want to do this, but we're all sacrificing. This is what we're all doing for the team. So he not only ignored the coaches and the administration of the team, he ignored the other players. And if players can't trust each other, can't happen. You can't be on the team.
No, you can't. And that's just kind of that bond that's there. When we come back, it's 3:18, the Riverbend Liquor and Wine Hotline. We have a bunch of guests lined up again today on Sikkim 365 Radio. Dr. Livingstone of Baylor will join us tomorrow. She'll be on the show at 4:15. We were booked up today. Glad to be able to have her tomorrow. Looking forward to that. We'll hear from Sam Kahn, ESPN.com, for Kedrick Vaughns. Max Olson, Mickey Spagnola, Lampasas football coach Troy Rogers, and Jovan Overshawn, who's a huge part, the glue in a lot of ways of Baylor Athletics, will join us today at 5 o'clock. This is Sikkim 365 Radio. Pickup Outfitters reminding you that if you have a pickup truck without a bed, that you can be, well, allowing some to maybe know what's inside your pickup bed. There's a lot of pickup trucks that don't have a bed cover. Well, that's a problem. So if you want one, you need one for security and shelter from the elements, privacy, and then also extra storage space. In fact, if there's not enough room in your cab, put it in the bed. Keep the wind from blowing whatever it is away with a bed cover. It could be something as simple as you put your golf clubs back there, a couple of pair of golf shoes, whatever it might be. And then, of course, there could be much more. But you can do that and cover it up, keep it safe from the elements, and also have security. Retractable, hard folding, hard, soft roll-up bed covers, removable, paint to match the color of your truck, one-piece lids, lay in and spray in bed liners to keep the bed from being damaged. Underneath whatever, of course, is the bed cover. So do it all. The lay in and spray in, bed liners, and then all the various types of options of bed covers. Pickup Outfitters, 220 Lake Air Drive, createacommotion.com. At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of health care while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of health care has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs, even offering financing if that's needed. Everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
Hey, this is Petty, former starting quarterback and two-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Tom Albers, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If your financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Tom Albers, 4301 Lakeshore Drive, 254-776-7605. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
It's pleasant. It's different than any other dentist's office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
Orlando's newest gym, Halo Athletic Center, 5725 Bagby Avenue, right behind Region 12 and across the highway from the Central Texas Marketplace, where motivation, inspiration, and hard work are the driving force. State-of-the-art equipment, indoor and outdoor track, locker rooms, showers, yoga and bar classes by Duality Yoga, bod pod potty composition analysis, and registered dietitians, all under one roof, where we rise above. Come join the Halo Athletic Center and be a part of the change. Your change.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio.
The Sikkim 365 Radio app is sponsored by Alan Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat in Waco. Your friend in the car business at Loop 340 and east of 84. Come by. Let's be friends.
Patriots center Dustin Woodard retiring. 7th-round pick from Memphis said it's not about COVID. He simply decided to walk away from the game. Also, we'll have Sam Kahn from ESPN momentarily. He's the one that wrote the article when the Big 12 decided that they were going to make the decision on Tuesday night. He quoted us from Sikkim 365 Radio in his article about the Big 12 forging ahead to play, or at least attempt to play, in the fall. So earlier today, Charlie Brewer, Larry Fedora, we've heard from both. Here's Charlie Brewer, Baylor quarterback, on head coach Dave Aranda.
I think it's been good. Getting to, obviously earlier in the spring we were here with him. And then, we were all apart there for a little bit with the coronavirus, and now we're back, which is good. I think that, I've got to know him, and he's gotten to know me, and I think we got the same goals and kind of the same vision for this football team. So I've gotten along with him really well. I think he's the right man to lead us, and I think he's going to do an outstanding job.
Charlie Brewer, Baylor quarterback, the senior, who was a part of that Zoom meeting earlier today with the local, well, not just the local media from around many different places.
Yeah, Max Olson was on there. So there was a couple of national guys that were jumping in. It was a little more crowded than it was for Aranda, I guess, a couple days ago. When was that?
That was yesterday.
Yeah.
What was that?
Tuesday, maybe? I'm losing track, man. The days are just all blurring together.
No, it was Wednesday because he reacted to the Big 12 making the decision to move forward.
That was
yesterday.
Wow.
Yeah, it does seem
Send me
like
Sam's Kahn's number again.
Okay.
So, no, I mean, that's good. I think the relationship with Fedora and Brewer is going to be a good one. I think the relationship with Aranda and Brewer obviously sounds like it's on solid ground. I think it's been great to hear. We haven't played everything from it, but, one of the things that Fedora said was that he's worried about a lot of things, but one thing he's not worried about is Charlie Brewer. Like that's a known. He knows what he can do. He knows his mentality and his style, and I really do think that's going to be a great partnership. So very excited to see this offense out there on the field with the little chatter that we heard today and some of the things that you can check out in the premium section of Sikkim365.com, little notes and whatnot here and there. So, yeah, great to have these guys speaking. First time we've heard Charlie Brewer since the bowl game?
Maybe he was available when Aranda was introduced.
Maybe
just for, he was in that. There was he and a couple of others were off to the side. Aranda had his press conference and then went around saying hi to a lot of different people. And Brewer, and I think it might have been Terrell Bernard or somebody, one or two other guys were available where the players had been sitting. But that was what, January?
That was a long time ago.
Maybe February.
That was pre-COVID.
Yeah, and then I bumped into him that one time, but other than that, he hadn't said much at all. The one good thing about the Southland Conference not playing is SFA. That's a streak against Sam Houston State officially is over. They have not lost now 9 consecutive years. It's over. Yeah, no, it's not. It's over.
It's on hold.
Sam Kahn Jr. from ESPN.com joins us. He, of course, had written an article earlier in the week about the Big 12 forging ahead among many things college football. So, Sam, I noticed something earlier today that the ACC was going to have some sort of president's meeting. It apparently was already scheduled, so it wasn't like some emergency meeting. Is this, you think, just making sure everything's fine? Your thoughts about what that might be? And do you feel like the three big Power Fives are going to be able to forge ahead and stay together?
Yeah, no, there was nothing to be alarmed at on that front. These are all regular things that they've been doing throughout the path on return to play and trying to monitor the season. Regular updates from the medical professionals that these conferences are relying on are regular things. So they're happening, on a weekly or every other week basis. And they're, trying to make sure that they're, running through all the hoops and doing everything they should be doing, because if there does come a point where, the doctors say, hey, you guys need to slow down, or we need to stop, or we need to pause, then I'm sure they'll do that. I think university presidents are a group that, they don't have to just worry about athletics. They have to worry about, regular students too. And we're talking about thousands of people on campus. So these are decisions that are very important. And I think, but yeah, it's nothing to be alarmed about. I think for now, that certainly it seems like those three leagues are committed to moving forward. So I think the next hurdle, in my opinion, to get over is what's it going to look like when regular students get to campus. That's going to be the next big one to watch.
Sam, what do you make of what happened at Florida State today with their three wide receivers kind of getting Twitter angry?
Yeah, I think, this is why I think transparency is really important, in a program. And certainly I know there's, some limitations from a legal standpoint about what you can share with parents and families, but you have to make sure that your players, your parents, and families around the people on the team are in the loop of what's going on. And you got to make sure they're communicating. I've talked to lots of parents here in Texas that from different schools, asking them, hey, are you comfortable with, how their school has handled communicating, the health situation with the team, and are they keeping you up to date on what they're doing and just numbers of positive tests? I mean, they're not identifying who's positive, but there are, most of the schools in this state are telling, their parents, hey, we had this many positive cases this week. We can't say who, but this is just, keep an eye on, your kids, make sure they're still doing everything they need to do. That's important in the college football world, is you got to make sure that you're communicating everything, because this is a public health situation, and you got to make sure everybody's on the same page.
Sam, just what have the last couple of weeks been like for you? I've seen some grizzled college football reporters joking somewhat about, how this is like realignment back when that occurred years ago. Just what, from your standpoint, has this constant news cycle been like to cover?
It's been crazy. It's funny. I had to do a video the other night after the Big 12 thing happened, and I remember looking back at it, and my wife asked me how'd it go. I said, well, I looked at it. I looked kind of disheveled. I try to look clean and presentable when I do anything, but it was a long day and it was a long night, and I was just like, you know what? Let's just get it done. I had made that remark to somebody today that it does remind me of realignment, but this to me is moving a lot faster than realignment did. I think we had gaps of weeks with, different changes of the news. I don't feel like things in realignment 10 years ago were changing every single day. Certainly the rumors were changing every single day, but I mean, this week we're having leagues make decisions in hours, we're having multiple leagues make decisions in the same day. So I feel like this is running this in a realignment, but I feel like it's moving a whole lot faster than that.
Sam, when Tuesday evening came and you heard what Mac Rhodes was telling us, and then all of what led up to that, the SEC, ACC were together. You mentioned that, looks like they're going to move forward, and that's great. What did you expect Tuesday night? Did you go into that like maybe some of us did after listening to Mac, that it wasn't such a sure thing?
I certainly was, because we like you guys, I'm sure, were asking around to see what the consensus was, and everything that we had heard from people that we had talked to around the league is that it was a pretty split consensus. There was no consensus. It was a split decision at that point. And my thought was it was a coin flip going in, but I got the sense that the lean was you're going to end up going forward. So I think what kind of came out is kind of what I expected based on what I had heard. But when Matt said that it was going to be very, very close, that certainly perked my ears up a little bit, and I thought, I'll be interested to see. It's going to be a coin flip possibly. And the longer that meeting went, the more you're starting to wonder. But I had thought that my thought was that the Big 12 was going to go forward, that was the lean that it seemed to be amongst the schools, and eventually that's the result that came out.
Do you buy that the Big 10 and the Pac-12 can make this really happen in the spring?
I'm really skeptical, just because for a multitude of reasons. Number one, the sheer fact of playing that many games in 2 calendar years because what it is going to affect the 2021 season. That's number one. Number two, just the fact of having to plan it, the differences with, other conferences, because you're going to have some leagues playing, theoretically this fall, and then some leagues playing in the spring. How many players are going to play? How many players are going to want to play? And the biggest question is, and this is unanswerable for all of us, how much better off are we going to be societally in dealing with coronavirus? I have no idea. I hope we're in a much better place in 3 or 4 months, but I have no idea if that's going to be the case. And, I will commend them for trying to do it, but I think, in my opinion, I don't think there was anything wrong with doing what the other 3 Power 5 leagues have done, which is say, hey, let's move forward and let's just keep an eye on it. And then if we can go, we'll go. And if we can't, we'll pull the plug. I think starting the season has always been something that people were optimistic about. It's the question of not whether or not you can finish the season, which is the unanswerable one.
Sam, Nebraska has obviously been in the headlines a lot this week, and it seems like things have settled down between them and the Big Ten. But do you feel like there's maybe a fracture there that's going to be permanent as a result of them speaking out? Although they weren't the only ones, but they were the only one that doesn't have, I guess, the history in the Big Ten.
I mean, time will tell, but I think certainly the fact that they do not have a long history in that conference is going to play into that. And let's not forget, we're not very far off from a potential realignment shift, in a few years. Some of these TV contracts are coming up in the next few years. So there is potential for movement, in 2023, 2024. And, the effect that shutting down a football season is going to have is going to reverberate for a few years. And I'm sure it's going to be something that they remember for a while. I think time will tell. It's kind of hard to say, but certainly right now the feelings are not good.
I heard Desmond Howard, who I think is an arrogant person. And obviously Heisman Trophy winner. He's on ESPN. He went to Michigan, but he's bitter over the split national championship. But he was basically said, I'd kick their asses out of the Big Ten. Craig's right. Ohio State spoke out. Penn State, others did as well. Michigan. I understand. I'm a lifelong Huskers fan. I'm not defending them. They're where they are. They made that decision. They made that bed. But it's not like they're wanting to, they want to go play football. What was why the anger towards them? Because they aren't a part of the blue blood of the Big Ten, or because they're irrelevant?
I don't know. That's, it's wild that you'd say that, because when you consider where they've been in their history, it's kind of crazy to say it. But I don't know, to be honest with you. I mostly cover the sport down here. I follow the Big Ten from a distance. I don't know the dynamics quite in that way, so it's hard for me to say. I think that the thing is, and let's remember, a lot of this criticism and discussion we're talking about, this is all on social media, and it's all very instantaneous, and it's all happening so fast, and emotions are running high. I think when a conference makes a decision and uses health and safety as the impetus for that decision, anything against it is basically saying, well, that you're not, that you're saying that we should go against that. And I can certainly understand the criticism of it, but I can also understand Nebraska's desire to play, because it doesn't just affect the football team. It doesn't just affect the athletics department. It affects the university. It affects the town of Lincoln. It affects economics. So I understand both sides of that issue. It's a contentious thing. It's not an easy decision. And I'll tell you what, I would not want to be Kevin Warren. I would not want to be Larry Scott or Bob Bowlesby or Greg Sankey or John Swofford. These are really difficult decisions to make, and it's a really difficult situation to be in. But unfortunately, this is what we're dealing with.
Do you feel like the Big 12 kind of propped itself back into a much stronger position because of how they reacted on Tuesday? No matter what the future holds, it's a conference that for the last 10 years has taken a beating with slogans and in many things. It's always been split really since it started. But it seems like that kind of has settled down. And it appears as if maybe they showed some strength and maybe some moxie for what they did on Tuesday night.
I think so, just also because they have, in some ways, aligned themselves with the SEC and the ACC, in this way. So those 3 conferences are going to move forward. And I think there's no question about what the strength of the SEC is and the reputation of the SEC from an outsider standpoint in terms of how strong the league is, the kind of resolve they have, the way they move as members. I don't know so much about the ACC, but certainly I feel like from an outside looking in, the reputation is pretty good. I think the Big 12 kind of aligning itself with those two leagues in the decision making, I think helped from an optics standpoint. And let's be honest, I think ever since, we can talk what we want to say about realignment and how all that went. But for the last few years, I think things have been pretty solid in this conference. You can say what you want about on-field performance, but I think overall they've done a decent job. And I really can't say, anything negative about the way they approach this. I think they've been methodical. I think they've been careful. They've been smart. In my opinion, Oklahoma, where Lincoln Riley is, has handled this thing the best that anybody could in terms of how he brought his players back, how they've been testing, the test results, things like that. I mean, to me, that's been the model team in how they've handled this situation. And that's right in the middle of the Big 12. So I think there's something to be said for that.
I don't know how you predict most anyone in the Big 12's record because there's so much unknown. Plus, there's coaching changes, some in their second year, Aranda and Staff in their first. And I really don't know. It's not like you could say, I could bet these are the top four teams. But that might be because the conference is pretty strong, or it might be because other than Oklahoma, you don't really know what you have.
But shoot, man, if you go to Ames in November, that suddenly is a lot different than going to Ames in November when it's a sold-out crowd. You know, like there's just little subtle differences like that as well. It is going to be hard to predict.
It is, and I've talked to several coaches and administrators about this, and I think the constant message I've heard is it's going to be pretty much a crapshoot to evaluate this season. It's hard to evaluate coaching jobs. It's hard to evaluate play because we don't know what rosters are going to look like on game day. We don't know how many games are going to have to be rescheduled. And so it's so hard to say. But if we just say everything, is normal and everybody's got a full deck to play with, obviously Oklahoma is your top one. And then, the question is it Oklahoma State next? Is it Texas? Is it Baylor? It's a lot of questions. I will tell you this. I feel for staffs like, Dave Aranda's and to a certain extent, Tom Herman's, that there's a lot of change in there's a whole new staff at Baylor. There's at least half a new staff, or more than half a new staff at Texas. And they haven't had to have a spring. They haven't had a normal summer. They haven't had to been able to practice very much together. I mean, not being able to do that means what the product we're going to see in the fall is going to be nowhere near what we're used to seeing because this is just an abnormal season.
I agree, Sam. Hey, thanks for being a part of it. And also, we do thank you. You wrote the story, and you also credited us. That doesn't always happen. I know it's not that big of a deal, but we do appreciate it. I shared that with you. Thanks for your time. We'll hope to see you. I have no idea when, but I hope to see you soon.
Likewise, I hope so, too. You guys keep doing a great job, and y'all stay safe.
Thank you. That's Sam Kahn, ESPN.com. Coming up next.
Oh, I just was going to say, I like Sam a lot. I enjoy his work. And as far as college, I think Ross Dellinger's done an incredible job reporting throughout all of this. I obviously love Max Olson, who we talk to on a regular basis, and Sam's a good one too, so good to have him on.
When we come back, he's now a high school football coach. He's a former Baylor defensive back. He was once a single-digit player at Baylor back when the Matt Rule era began. And, his name is Verkedrick Vaughns. He's next on Sikkim 365 Radio.
The First National Bank of Central Texas, 5 locations right here at home. Waco, Woodway, Hewitt, China Spring, Martin, Hillsboro. Familiar faces making local decisions, here to help you, your family, and your business. Whether it's great times or tough times, all of us need a bank we can count on. Great people with great technology, dedicated to their customers and helping our area grow. Safe banking in person or use their online and mobile apps. Convenient drive-through and ATMs at all 5 locations. They have instant issued debit cards. So think about this. So a few years ago, we were at the NFL draft, and my debit card was compromised. I immediately got a call from the security company, and they said, hey, we see that you've made some charges in Chicago and in El Paso, Texas today. So, well, I'm in Chicago, and I've never been to El Paso, and I wouldn't certainly go to the Walmart in El Paso when I'm at the NFL draft. So they had to freeze my card for the last day we were there. I went back into First National Bank of Central Texas on Monday after we got back. I walked right in the door. In 20 minutes, I walked out, probably even less than that, with a brand new debit card. That is unbelievable. That means you don't have to send off and wait for a couple days. You walk in, you walk out with your debit card, and that's just the kind of customer service that they provide. The First National Bank of Central Texas, 5 locations here at home: Waco, Woodway, Hewitt, China Spring, Mart, and Hillsboro.
I think it's been good.
Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction with a team of 24 experienced agents who are excited about serving you. Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, French oak, rye, and brimstone. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131, 254-598-8131.
Every man knows that you got to get it right in the bed. Hey there, Jay from Pickup Outfitters here to talk about a sensitive issue and asking you, please, don't drive around town exposing your stuff. Please, cover that truck bed. This is a very serious form of truck nudity. Trucks without bed covers, and it's an easy fix. There are so many different types of covers depending on your needs and style, from folding, rolling, locking, retractable, anything from black to silver, even paint to match the original cover of your truck. Now, all these are hard, rigid covers, just like they should be. Now, there are also some soft bed covers, but you know. So don't be driving around with a bare truck bed. It's like letting people peek underneath your covers. It just ain't right. See the different types of bed covers at createacommotion.com/covers. Won't you help us end truck nudity? Stop by our showroom and see all our bed cover displays at Pickup Outfitters, just off of Waco Drive at 220 Lake Air Drive in Waco.
If you or a loved one or friend has been arrested and you can't afford bail, trust Terry and Chase Chapman at Chapman's Bail Bonds, covering Waco and McLennan County for over 25 years. Chapman's can bail you out anywhere with experienced, knowledgeable local agents who are committed to serving you professionally, respectfully, and with the highest integrity. Chapman's understands your privacy is important. Your freedom can be secured fast when you use Chapman's Bail Bonds. Open 24 hours a day. Payment arrangements available. Call Chapman's Bail Bonds. When you need help, 254-754-1603. When you ring, we'll spring.
Texas Board Certified Personal Injury Trial Lawyer and Baylor alum David Willis and Baylor alum Parker Willis are ready to help if you or a loved one has been wrongfully injured in an auto accident, SUV rollover, industrial accident, 18-wheeler crash, or were seriously injured by a defective product or recall drug. Call them for a confidential and free case consultation at 1-800-GOT-HURT or visit them at texastriallawyer.com. Principal office located in Houston, Texas.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio.
This segment on Baylor Athletics on Sikkim 365 Radio is brought to you by Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac, located at the Imperial Drive exit off Loop 340 in Waco. Proud supporters of all Baylor Athletics.
Thank you to Richard Carr, Richard Goff, and the great staff at Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac. Thanks to Lance Aldridge, who helps us understand what are the various specials along the way at the dealership on Imperial Drive on Loop 340. Verkedrick Vaughns. Remember the Big 12 media days when Verkedrick showed up in that white, beautiful white suit?
I've wanted to live my life like Verkedrick ever since then, but I'm not confident enough in my abilities not to ruin a white suit in an hour.
Yeah, and I would spill something on it. Verkedrick is now a part of Frank Sandoval's staff at West Mesquite. He's from Mesquite, went to Poteet High School. Former Baylor defensive back joins us. Craig Smoke, Paul Catalina, and David Smoke. So wait a minute. You're a Mesquite guy, and I know this is an opportunity. You're Poteet, West Mesquite. How much of a rivalry? Did you guys play much? I don't remember 5A, 6A, how much?
Yeah, it's our rival.
Oh.
Out route.
So did you have to get some like clearance from Poteet?
Actually, man, my head coach that was there, he's the athletic director of MISD, Cody Groves. He actually, it was a last minute deal, and he actually got me on here with Mesquite. And when I asked him, I wanted to start coaching, and he got me over here with Mesquite because this was the first opportunity that opened. And of course, I'm not going to turn it down. And these are great guys. This staff is a great staff. So I mean, my former coaches hit me up. They had no idea. I them the news.
That's awesome.
All right, Verkedrick joins us. He was just hired. I think it became official yesterday by Frank Sandoval. Mo Porter's a part of that staff. Obviously, Joey McGuire was Frank Sandoval was on his staff, and I know he's as thrilled as anybody as well. Paul?
Verkedrick, how much of a coach? I mean, I know that you're just now starting to coach, but how much of a coach are you like your high school coaches? How much of it is Coach McGuire or Coach Rule or anybody else that's coached you along the way? Coach Bennett, for crying out loud.
You say, I'm sorry, can you repeat that again? I'm sorry, I'm out here outside.
Oh, how much of your coaching so far has been kind of channeled through, Coach Rule or Coach McGuire, Coach Bennett, your high school coaches, any of those people?
All those coaches you mentioned are really, really great, and all of them have a significant part in my career in football as well. And so I've learned a lot from all of them. All of those guys are really great guys, and all of those guys have different coaching styles that I've picked up over the years, and I'm taking it with me. Everything that I've learned from those guys, I'm taking it with me.
So, Verkedrick, I talked to you for the Smoke Show podcast, I guess like back during the early middle part of the season last year, and I don't recall if we ever really talked about coaching much. I mean, you were kind of trying to find your way. I know you were doing some personal training and things like that. You mentioned getting the coaching bug. Like, had that always been there? Was that something that just kind of crept up over the last few months? And kind of the second part to that question, just how good does it feel to have this direction and know your purpose moving forward?
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, along with Corona being and disrupting football, I have an opportunity to come get back and be around a lot of guys. And with the CFL being canceled, arena ball being canceled, and the schedules with the NFL protocols, it's like, hey, I gotta do something. And why not coach? I knew I wanted to coach, but I didn't know it was gonna be this soon. But hey, I'm up for it, and I'm enjoying the time out here with these guys, giving back.
You once shared the story about writing a letter about what you were going to become. Was that back when you were like in middle school, junior high? Is that right, that you were going to go to Baylor and play there?
Oh, yes, sir. That was eighth grade.
And you were a part of that Champions for Life with the Big 12, but you're in eighth grade. A lot of people have a dream in eighth grade or seventh or ninth or whatever, and they never actually get a chance to fulfill it. I wanted to be a Major League Baseball player until I saw a real curveball. So how did you know? What was the feeling that you were going to fulfill that dream?
Yeah, let me tell you about that story. So I obviously wrote it in the eighth grade. I didn't know until my senior year what the letter said. I just know during the eighth grade I didn't like UT. I can tell you that. I didn't like burnt orange at all. And I didn't want to stay too local at SMU because I'm from the Dallas area. And so the only campus I've actually been on at a university was Baylor, and I liked it. And so I put that in eighth grade, and next thing you know, I after signing day, my eighth grade coach called me up there to my middle school and told me he got my letter. And I opened it, and we opened it together, and it said Baylor University, and I was completely blown away because I was about to commit. I mean, I committed to Baylor, but I had other offers to other schools to go to, and it was a bliss moment because it was just manifestation and confirmation from God that I was supposed to be there.
What are the school colors at West Mesquite?
Burnt orange and white and black.
Can't avoid it.
Yeah. All of a sudden, you don't mind that color.
Payback.
I love that. I love that.
Verkedrick, it's different when somebody gives you a check.
That's exactly
it's
right.
Totally different. Yeah.
I'll wear whatever you keep paying me. That's great.
Oh. Yeah, I love that. Joey McGuire is thrilled for you. You know that a lot of people are, but he also did give me a little bit of a nugget. back when the single-digit thing became a thing with Matt Rule, and a lot of people didn't quite understand that, then it became like a badge of honor. What was the discussion you had with him and him with you that you wanted to be a single-digit, and what would you have to do to get it?
It's just hard work, dedication, being consistent, being accountable, being the same, working hard the same every day, and showing up and doing your job at a high level. And that's what I've been doing since I stepped on the Bayless field. And so once that got around, that single digit, and I was prepared for it, they gave it to me.
What are your thoughts on Coach Aranda and what he'll be able to bring to Baylor?
These guys, Coach Aranda, from what I've heard, because I'm sorry, I'm out here outside. Coach A, he's a really good guy. He's a really, really, he seems like a really, really smart guy, really detailed and know what he's talking about. And I really believe that the players really love him and will want to play for him. And so I'm excited to see how the season's going to turn out.
V, what's it like to reconnect with Mo Porter and be on the same coaching staff?
Man, he called me that day where when Coach Sandoval said that you might got a Baylor guy joining us. He called me that day and said, "Man, get over here." he said, "Man, get over here. We're gonna do our thing over here and make these kids better." And I was as soon as I got the opportunity, I came.
So here you are, you're practicing. I know that's because Frank said that you guys had started practice. You could walk away from practice. So you've already got some clout. You can walk away from practice. You've been on that staff for a day or two.
Don't say that.
I love it. Matt Rule and the time you spent and the transitions, what you went through as a player. What in the end, we know what you think of Joey McGuire, but what in the end did that time under his staff mean to you?
It meant a lot. They really taught me the ins and outs of football. Moving from corner to safety, it's not a lot of guys. It's easier to move from. I want to say. Honestly, I think it's easier to move from safety to corner or corner to safety because when moving to safety, it's like you have to figure out everything. It's different angles. So when you're a safety, you already got the angles and stuff down as far as tackling and covering, and that was the big transition for me, just knowing the right angles and knowing all the play calls. Those guys taught me how to read check, how to read formations at the next level, and I took it with me, and I still know it to this day because that's how much they ingrained it in me, and I'm really thankful for that.
For Kedrick, do you have any ultimate goals down the line? I know your coaching career is just getting started, but have you put much thought into what you want to accomplish over time?
Yeah, I'm still. I know I want to open up my own business here pretty soon in the next 5 or 10 years, as far as training wise and facility wise. But as far as coaching, man, I just want to be the best I can be. If it's in Mesquite, if it's at the college level or the pro level. I'm going to just give them my all in whatever I do.
Anything else, Paul?
Nope.
Craig?
You still meditating?
Oh, yeah, always.
Yeah, I know we talked about that on the podcast a few months back, and I was interested in the meditation thing because I've always been intrigued by that. But Kedrick convinced me that it's the way to go. But, hey, man, it's great to hear how happy you are, and I'm really thrilled you're getting this opportunity, dude. Very, very excited for you.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Kedrick Vaughn's a part of the West Mesquite football staff with Frank Sandoval, the head coach. He was at Mejia, Cedar Hill under Joey McGuire. There's all the networking. Mo Porter we had on a few weeks ago as well.
And being a coach, you have to learn different positions. And, I know a lot of guys have played different positions over the course of their careers. Who was it we had on? We had the Baylor O-line committee, or no, it was the D-line committee. He was talking about playing running back when he was in Pop Warner, and he was the biggest kid on the field. So, guys move around playing positions, but, as a coach, you have to know all of the different ins and outs. And so guys, as they come up, might be a tight ends coach, and then you're a receivers coach for a couple years, but for Kedrick will be assistant wide receivers coach. He was a DB in college, and Mo Porter will be the running backs coach, and he was an offensive lineman in college. So it's just kind of funny, but that's how the coaching profession works.
It's also neat. Some of these guys, have gone on to have an opportunity. He still wants to have his own business. That's great. You got to have goals, and he's a guy that's met most of his goals, at least up until now. So good luck with him, or to him. Max Olson, Mickey Spagnola, and Lampasas head coach Troy Rogers. Lampasas took Carthage to the brink last year in the semifinals with their great quarterback and Ace Whitehead, among others. We'll have that in the 4 o'clock hour. Dr. Livingstone tomorrow joins us at 4:15, and this is Sikkim 365 Radio.
Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac. I told you last month about the summer savings event, and it was unfortunate that was wrapping to a close, but not so unfortunate because the summer savings event continues to roll on at Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac. They are the people that you can count on, and right now they've got a lot of great deals. Employee pricing for everyone during the summer savings event right now. You pay what employees pay all month long. Right now, that can include saving over $7,000 on a 2020 Acadia, saving $7,000 on a 2020 Yukon, saving $7,000 on a 2020 GMC Terrain. How about saving $8,000 on a 2020 GMC SLT Crew Cab? Those all sound like pretty good deals to me, and they've got a lot of options and a lot of different variety. You might be looking at the SUVs. Well, check out the Buick Enclave, one of the best-selling SUVs so far in 2020. It's got first-class seating, loaded safety and tech. It's an uncompromising full-size SUV. Save $7,200 right now on the Buick Enclave. Plus, you can also save several thousand on 2020 Buick Envisions and Encores during the summer savings event. I think you get the point. I'm talking about lots of thousands in savings right now. They've got great prices, as mentioned, but they've also got great customer service. Free oil changes with a new purchase, in-town priority warranty service. All that comes whenever you buy a vehicle from Richard Carr. Richard Carr Motors are the people you can count on. A local family dealer run by Baylor Bear alumni. They just want the chance to earn your business, so stop by their daily disinfected showroom. You can see their safety-focused staff, or if you don't want to, make your way out there, or you're kind of nervous about COVID or whatnot, well, they can bring the test drive to your home because your comfort and safety is their first priority. Find more information online at richardcarr.com. That's Karr, or Highway 6 at the Imperial Exit.
It's the heat of the summer, but the real heat is what you're cooking on the grill, smoker, or in the oven. So Waco Custom Marketplace can be your go-to playmaker for summertime grilling. You can't go eat anywhere else? Be your own chef with custom-ordered and cut ribeyes, sirloins, fillets, New York strips with a focus on high-quality beef at a competitive price. Waco Custom Marketplace also has fresh deli cuts with sliced turkey, ham, pepperoni, or corned beef. Waco Custom Marketplace also your home for the freshest seafood in town. Salmon, shrimp, mahi-mahi, great priced chicken products, whole birds, tenders, chicken breast, and wings. Waco Custom Marketplace with smoked items unique to Waco, house-made bacon, summer sausage, boudin, hot links, and German sausage. Every seasoning for every occasion, grilling, baking, or frying. Your hometown grocery store with canned goods, pasta, fresh baked bread, buns, chips, sauce, condiments to pickles, charcoal and lighter fluid, cold beer and wine, best kolaches in Waco, mouth-watering cinnamon rolls, and here for the community every single day, helping you avoid the long lines in crowded stores, serving quality products to the Waco community. Go online for the weekly value boxes. Family owned and operated Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lakeview Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
In great times or tough times, you always feel better working with someone who's there for you. When it comes to great banking, people here count on the First National Bank of Central Texas, here to help you, your family, and your business. Personal banking via phone, desktop, tablet, and drive-through, and business banking tailored for all situations, including yours. Amazing tomorrows from the First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
At Baylor University, students find their place to shine. They're faithful friends and inspirational leaders. They're championship teammates and independent thinkers. They're on the cutting edge of high tech and in the halls of history. If you want to make the world a brighter place, you can. And if you want to shine in your own way, you can. The spark you need is already inside you. Bring it to Baylor, where lights shine bright.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
The big summer clearance event is still underway at Allen Samuels in Waco. Now update your essential transportation needs with 0% financing and no payments for 90 days on almost everything in stock. Brand new Ram 1500 Lone Star Crew Cabs, ready to roll with 0 for 72 and no payments for 90 days. And Ram Tradesman Express Quad Cabs feature up to $8,500 in values. We'll save you thousands at your friend in the car business, Allen Samuels.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with Max Olson of The Athletic. Brought to you by Pioneer Steel and Pipe, where customer service is their main focus. And best in metal, steel, and pipe for large or small projects. With 2 locations in Waco and Bryan. Family owned and operated since 1943.
Fields on second down, takes off running straight ahead to the Owls, 40 to the 30 down the left side field. To the Owls 10, and he takes it into the end zone for a touchdown run of 50-plus. Welcome to Columbus.
The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house. Here's David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
We will get into the Big 12. We'll get into Baylor. We'll get into a lot of what's going on with college football, which changes constantly. A little bit more settled today, and yet again, the FCS has basically been shut down now. But I love this. Andy Staples, who we've had on the show, he said, new on the Andy Staples show, Mitch Sherman, who writes for The Athletic, who covers Nebraska, and a still sober Max Olson joined to discuss Nebraska versus the Big Ten. Max, I got to start. You know I'm born in Omaha, off at Air Force Base. Why in the hell did they take such a beating? What is going on with that?
I'm sure you would have had a lot of fun hopping on that podcast, right?
I want to tweet at Desmond Howard, but Desmond Howard is arrogant, and I've interviewed him once before for Game Day, and I asked him questions about Baylor and TCU. He then ran to his media person saying that I asked questions and I didn't agree with him. I don't ever care if I talk to him again. But
okay, fair enough.
He's a great
fair
player,
enough.
great player. You got a great job, but that's kind of who I am. Okay.
Yeah, it's a great question. I thought clearly there's other coaches in the Big Ten, Ryan Day, Jim Harbaugh, et cetera, who are not happy with what happened this week, but they didn't go quite the lengths that Scott Frost did in threatening to go find games outside of the conference, which you can't do. So it was interesting. Like, look, it's a devastating thing, and it's an unprecedented decision to cancel a football season like this. So you can understand why Nebraskans are really frustrated. And it quickly turned into this whole war with Kevin Warren, which I thought was fascinating because you just saw so many people kind of like take the side of the Big Ten instantly and say, Nebraska, if you're not happy, get out of here, which I didn't really know that's how folks felt about Nebraska in the Big Ten, but they made it pretty clear.
Yeah, that was kind of random. But with conference realignment possibly coming back up, and look, Max, we might be due for a reshuffling of the entire deck after all of this here in a couple of years. Do you think that Nebraska people will continue to like maybe think about leaving, or do you think this is over now that they released the statement today?
I mean, look, it's hard. As much as there may be some angst right now, it just makes absolutely no sense for Nebraska to leave the Big Ten. They get $54 million in revenue distribution. Academically, it's been huge for them. Their faculty absolutely would not vote to leave the Big Ten. So and the stability of that conference is the reason they went to it. You know, obviously they left the Big 12 at a time that was really, really shaky. So it made sense at the time. I am curious how much Smoke even likes being in the Big Ten as a Husker fan, but it just doesn't make sense to, for at the moment for them to go anywhere. But who knows if there's this, if there's kind of this issue now between them for the next few years, then maybe in 2024 it's time to have some more conversations.
I know this is a bit of a loaded question because it covers just way too much ground, but just what have you made so far this week of the split and the decisions to move forward, the Big 12, SEC, AAC, ACC all saying, hey, we're going to give this a go, and pretty much everybody else saying, nope, we're going to go ahead and shut it on down?
Well, I mean, I think some folks maybe don't totally understand that, like, you know, what's occurring right now in, like, the state of California doesn't affect the Big 12 whatsoever, right? Like, each of these leagues is, you know, making their decisions based on their locations and based on what their own experts are telling them about their college towns and everything, right? So the Pac-12 and the Big 10, you know, can't see a way forward, but it's not like the Power Five are all talking to the same docs and getting the same information. I think you have to make the decisions based on what's going on in your own conference and your own institution. So to me, it's like I can understand why they'd come to different conclusions here, but you know, I think the thing that's really challenging here going forward is this all just feels you know, really, really fragile. I feel like we're all just sort of crossing our fingers every day that this can work, and you know, that you don't have a team you know, have an outbreak you know, within their program here in the next few weeks in the Big 12, or really honestly in the SEC or the ACC. We're all kind of having to just hope that they can really get through these next 30 days and get to a game and kick off the season, and then from there, you know, who knows how long that season can last.
Yeah, it's day by day. And, you know, there was that little report. Initially, I was like, uh-oh, when it said the ACC's presidents were meeting at 4:30 Eastern. And, then, you know, you're just like everything you want to duck. And then find out that it was already something that was scheduled as well. Max, when we had Mac Rhodes on Tuesday, when I asked the question about what's going to happen tonight in the Big 12, and he struggled, and not struggling in a negative way. He struggled because he just didn't know enough and wanted to know more. What did you think would happen when they voted to continue or not? What was your gut feeling as they went into that evening?
Yeah, I thought that going into the evening it would be that they would take no action. But the hard thing, and Mac has articulated this to you guys, I'm sure, many times. The hard thing is that even if the coaches are aligned in how they feel, and even if the athletic directors are generally aligned in how they feel, at the end of the day, the presidents go into executive session and have their own conversation and make the big decision, right? So, you know, obviously it's the job of the AD to talk to the president, kind of give them a sense of, here's how I see it, here's what our players and our coaches want. But ultimately, it's you know, it comes down to the presidents. And in a meeting like they had on Tuesday, you know, where you have a really, really long conversation with all sorts of different medical experts. I mean, one AD I talked to that day was just like, you know, we think we're okay, but you never know if these presidents are going to hear a lot of this stuff and just get a little bit squeamish and not feel great about moving forward with the season in light of what, you know, the Pac-12 and Big Ten had just done. So I think these are really hard decisions, and I think Max did a good job of laying out how complicated it is too, especially now that you've got two of these Power Fives opting out. And honestly, one of the things that I really want to know, and Bob Bowlesby didn't answer for this at all yesterday, is the process they went through on Tuesday. They had a bunch of calls with ADs and presidents, presidents, medical experts, then just the presidents. Like, are we going to be revisiting this every week or every few days? Or I guess, how long does this decision that they made Tuesday, you know, how long can we kind of go on that?
Max, when it comes to, you know, we talked about spring and all that earlier, and the, you know, improbability or difficulties of that happening. You know, Ryan Day threw out that, like, hey, I want the players, you know, who are early enrolled to be eligible to play in that season. Part of that, I think, is he just knows he would need those warm bodies to get through.
Yeah.
Because a team like Ohio State's going to lose 15 guys anyway that would be playing in the NFL in 4 months.
Yeah, it's a really interesting thing. I'm curious to see if more people kind of start to focus on this. It's my understanding that once a college football player enrolls on campus, they're eligible to play right away. So if you've got early enrollees and junior college transfers and transfers that come in January, they should be able to play right away for you. Now, that's going to be problematic next year because you're going to have high school players who didn't even play a fall season, who haven't even spent a month in your strength program, being thrown in the games, that's just a bad idea, right? So, like, who knows if that's something that helps you a lot in terms of filling some of those needs. But yeah, I would think those players have to be eligible if they're going to try and play spring season.
Max, I know it's kind of unfair because there's no way you know for sure, but what sense do you get on how crazy the transfer portal could get due to some of these conference decisions?
It's a great question. I right now it hasn't been. I've heard that there is a lot of kind of that back channel conversation that's going on because these players in the Pac-12 and the Big Ten they're in a really kind of tough spot right now. Certainly, I think you're talking more about the guys that would be grad transfers that would have a chance to play right away. I think if a guy's transferring right now because their season got canceled, that's a pretty strong waiver justification, and maybe that stuff can get expedited. But you wonder just how many of those players, would be better off staying put. Because do you really want to go transfer to like an ACC school, and then the ACC shuts it all down in 2 weeks anyway, right? Like it's hard to know what the right decision is to make there. Not to mention we're already in mid-August, so can you go earn a starting spot if you're going to go transfer today to a new school? So it's a fascinating time. I don't know that we'll see a ton of it, but especially because you've got some of these schools just don't have very many spots left. But it is something that I'm sure that the Big Ten coaches and Pac-12 coaches are really worried about because there is a real chance there of some poaching going on.
How do you think it will work in basketball and spring sports kind of had to do this, but in football, I imagine it would be far different because of the number of people. But let's say the Big Ten has their spring schedule only end up being like 3 or 4 games, so it doesn't count towards eligibility or however they figure that out. But you've got your incoming recruiting class, and then your guys, like how would that work with scholarship limits? What direction do you think they'll try and take, if any, or have you heard any chatter about that?
I feel like they should, if I'm going to make the call on that, I should be getting paid for that, right? Like they're clearly these guys are looking for some consultation on what the heck to do.
Yeah.
And that's what honestly, it's what's kind of frustrating about this. And I'm just being facetious there, but like what's frustrating about this is it's mid-August. And it feels like the Big Ten and Pac-12 are finally saying, oh, yeah, we probably should start talking about what a spring model would be. It's like, how did that not happen at any point during the summer? That any of these, I understand that in a lot of ways you look at the spring and say, well, that's not ideal. There's all these issues. We've never done this before. It's going to look too different, right? I understand the reservations about it. But it's crazy to me that, and you saw it on Tuesday, there was clear frustration in the Big Ten that when Kevin Warren makes that decision, he doesn't have any answers for how the spring's going to work. And that's got to be really tough for coaches and players. So all of the spring model stuff, I think that conversation really has to ramp up here really quickly. I saw Purdue and Jeff Brom put something up today, but these guys need to start figuring that stuff out because they have avoided having that conversation all summer long.
Well, part of it, I think, Max, is that a lot of people just figured that this would go away, and it didn't. And even if that was a viable option of the virus just kind of disappearing, you still should have been prepared, especially when they weren't hosting basketball and baseball, and there's no games on campus for them to, like, their staff to be involved in. This is all they had to work on was all the different COVID possibilities.
Well, and you guys saw for the past few months all the anonymous AD quotes about how skeptical they were that this was possible, right? So, like, if there's behind the scenes, if there's a lot of folks thinking the fall's not going to work, you would think these people should be working hard to figure out how do we recoup that revenue in the spring, and how can we, what does that even look like in terms of attendance and roster limits and length of season? How important is it to play a spring season that has as little impact as possible on a 2021 fall season, and trying to preserve kind of the normalcy of that. So it's a fascinating problem. And then of course now with where we're at today, you have to wonder, okay, if by some miracle the Big 12 and the ACC and the SEC make it through, some sort of 6, 8, 10 game fall season, and are staying on schedule, going through regular spring ball next year and staying on schedule for 2021, like, does it really make sense for those two other leagues to have a spring season and really kind of screw up their chances for next fall?
Yeah, it's going to be so interesting.
I nominate Max to figure all this out. College football czar, Max Olson.
You mentioned anonymous sources and whatever, and I saw a lot of those same articles, and I understand as someone that covers what we cover and you as well, that at times is something that's necessary. And that's what made me so I'm not supposed to wave the Baylor flag, but that's what makes me like Mack Rhodes even more. He was always on the record.
Yeah.
Now, that doesn't mean he didn't text somebody or he didn't say something or whatever, but he was always out front with exactly how he felt, including the emotions the last 3 or 4 weeks, which changed dramatically. I just thought it was too big of a deal, so fragile that someone not putting their name on it didn't help. That's just me. I know that I'm probably.
I'm with you on that, and I think that's I think clearly I think we've seen over these past few months that I think it gets frustrating for the public when sort of the public comments about how this stuff is going don't match up at all with sort of the private comments. And so I appreciate that even on a day like Tuesday when things are really crazy and Mac is in meetings all day, that he still takes time to talk on the record with you guys on the radio. I appreciate him and respect him doing that because these are really wild times. And I'm not saying anything. I got nothing wrong with quoting anonymous unnamed people. I do that too. But it's part of it is just I think you can see some folks have gotten frustrated with the doom and gloom of some of that reporting.
Max, thank you as always for your time with us on Thursdays. Great job, The Athletic CFB on Twitter, and of course Max_Olson with an O at the end of it on with us every Thursday, most every Thursday. Thanks for your time, Max Olson, theathletic.com on college football, the landscape today. Jeff Brom did put this out. I saw Adam Rittenberg. He put out an entire, what looked like a lot of thought into it. 4:30, Mickey Spagnola on Everson Griffin, among everything's Cowboys. Plan A, an 8-game season, 6 divisional games, 2 crossover games, rivalry were applicable, and then he went all the way into how this would work out. And the practices. First 2 weeks of spring season, northernmost teams would play away at the southernmost team's venue. Week 6 and 7, the southernmost teams would travel north for weather purposes. Football games would be played on Saturdays, college basketball Sundays for the conference. Then he had another proposal about, how they would make it out. And then had a basic structure of how the schedule from January 16th with training camp all the way to
April 17th.
Through April 7th. And then this goes all the way into to 2022 with what he did with an 8-game spring season, and then the fall season returns to 10 games.
He would have them playing in January through April, quitting after April, or being done after April, 3-month mandatory workout break, and then getting 2021 season preparations underway in July. So let's just say, somehow magically everybody makes it through their fall season. That's going to make the spring teams look really dumb in some ways for some people. It doesn't really matter. And then they get through their spring season or whatever. Those Big Ten players and Big Ten and Pac-12 players, they're going to have that 3-month mandatory break and then come back in July, but then they're gearing up to play a season, whereas the Big 12 and the SEC and the ACC potentially will have this 7-8 month break between seasons. So that's going to be difficult. And I just imagine the scenario with what Ryan Day said yesterday about early enrollees being eligible for this spring, straight out of high school.
If they came from Pennsylvania, they haven't played down a football.
They haven't played it down a football, but if they came, but they recruit Texas, and if they came from Texas, you're looking at a kid playing.
From Katie's not going to play, and then go straight to Southern Cal in January.
I mean, that kid's doing that, but there might be a kid that plays his high school season, goes to Ohio State, early enrolls, plays that season, gets this 3-month break, plays the fall. You know what I'm saying? Dude, that's 30, 40 games in
in high school, it could be
15 months.
Yeah, it could be 14 or 15, 16 games especially when you're talking about some of the schools we're discussing.
And that'll be an outside case of somebody who's even good enough to do that. But still, that's potentially for a kid in Texas who's that good, he could potentially do that. Play a high school season in the fall, a spring college football season, and then a fall college football season. That'd just be nuts.
All right, Paul, break here, then another segment, and then
break and then Mick.
All right, we've got to do the Zach Greinke. Zach Greinke is a hell of a pitcher. Mm-hmm. He's halfway looped nuts. He was calling his own pitches against the A's with hand signals on the mound and did so in his last start as well. and now just telling everyone what's coming. Dusty Baker, I think they broke the mold on Greinke, and the Astros needed this. Mainly just hopefully to do it with a man on second base. We could get things figured out. I don't like taking a long time with a man on second, especially I'm trying to find ways to speed that up. So far this year, it's been good.
So he's just shouting out, slider.
Well, did you see it?
Yeah.
He was also talking about it. It's the second code, or it was like not the first, like down, like put one down for a fastball, two is off speed curve, slider, whatever. He was saying what was coming next because he knew the guys on second base were probably stealing his signals anyway. This is a team, of course, that was.
I hate the second base
rule,
by the way. I don't like it. Guys starting on second base.
Well, I haven't really watched a deep enough game.
I don't think that one's going to stick around. I think that one's just,
I don't like it. Like, it was like the Astros went to extras the other night, and the guy just automatically starts this. And I'm not saying this because, but.
You know where that rule comes from?
Where?
That comes from rec league softball.
Yeah, I mean,
that's what
just,
that is.
I was watching, I think it was the Astros game. It might have been a different game. But, like, yeah, just to see somebody start on second base in a one-run game in extra innings, I'm like, this is stupid. I know it works for both teams, so it's not like an unfair advantage. I get it. It's trying to shorten the games and everything, but I just don't like it. By the way, Rougned Odor, is he gone for good now? Has he been replaced? Derek Dietrich, the new Rangers second baseman?
Well, I don't know. I mean, he had a heck of a game last night, so his Rangers debut.
Randy Mueller used to be with the Saints. He's been executive of the year. He's with the XFL Houston. They just put up a graphic. Both Fox and ESPN stand to lose millions from empty ad slots now for NCAA football. The race is on to see who grabs them. And then there's a picture, XFL 3.0.
Well, if they could they still have guys under contract, right? So if they could run it back together.
Yeah. That's The Rock. The Rock could make it happen if anybody could.
Mm-hmm.
Who's the tight end for the 49ers had a big deal today?
There's a lot of big deals going on in the
Travis
NFL
Kelce
today.
from the Chiefs did. George Kittle did.
Yeah. All right, when we come back, it's Mickey Spagnola from DallasCowboys.com. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness, Lakeshore Drive in Waco. So there's 4 things that I like to do before I run. There's 4 things. One is I like to have an amino energy drink. I also like to maybe have either a couple of bites of some sort of food, maybe apple or banana. I like to have, when I'm about to start, a couple of pieces of gum in my mouth. And also, when you run outside, I like to wear a hat. Because especially now, because that sweat will start dripping into your face, your eyes, and start burning your eyes. Yesterday morning, I ran 7 miles, and I forgot all 4. I don't know why, but I did. Started running down Lakeshore, down to Airport Road, around Airport Road, around the dam, and back across the dam, and then back on Lakeshore Drive. But I did it. It was not easy. It was hard. My body was sore that morning, but it was something that I committed to, and then I did it. Learning that by walking through the front door at Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness, like so many other people do and have done over the years, but you have to walk through the front door. There are group exercise classes, some 40 plus of those. There's also personal trainers, Christy London and Randall Corley, who can help you and make sure you remain committed and remain focused on your goal. There are also opportunities for you just to work out on your own, which a lot of people do every day, whether it's free weights or Cybex, the treadmill, Stairmaster, you say it, they have it. And the tennis facilities are unmatched. Joe Rosa, Britt Coleman. Joe handles the adult leagues and the adult lessons, and Britt Coleman's an amazing teacher when it comes to youth tennis. But you have to do it. You have to remain committed, and that's where you can start by walking through the front door at Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs, too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel & Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel & Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel & Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneersboys.com.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries. Celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas, our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trust the doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
With more than 160,000 alumni worldwide and counting, the Baylor family is growing. And through the university's expanded Baylor alumni program, the family is growing closer. With hundreds of local volunteers planning events in cities and towns around the country, you can gather with fellow Bears no matter where you are. So, get connected, get something started, get involved, and make plans to get together with Baylor alumni. Visit us at baylor.edu/alumni.
Stepping into a new pair of boots is great, but stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can also add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. There are more than 150 occupational specialties to help them find the best fit for their future. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131, 254-598-8131.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with Mickey Spagnola of DallasCowboys.com.
Prescott going to keep it all. What a zone read. Look at Dak Prescott with room to roll. Prescott still going down to the 20.
Sikkim 365 Radio continues our show with Troy Rogers, the head coach at Lampasas, a Division I 4A that went to the semifinals last year. Mickey Spagnola joins us momentarily. And then today at 5 o'clock, Jovan Overshot of the Baylor Athletic Department. I'm telling you, this is like if you have – she's not even a blue chip because she's majorly important inside the athletic department at Baylor. There's a big event. It's going to be a virtual event that happened earlier today called Helmets and Heels. And she is part of the glue within that athletic department. We're going to have her on today at 5. And then SFA's Colby Carthel. They shut down the Southland Conference competing, right? Mm-hmm. Or at least the games. They want to play. So we'll have him today at 5:30. We're now joined by Mickey Spagnola, David Smoke, and Craig Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Sikkim 365 Radio. Mickey, Everson Griffin, how did that happen?
Boy, that's a good question there. You know, I thought maybe 2 months ago or so that 3 months ago when free agency began, I saw his name and I said, and I think the Cowboys had some interest in him, but I said, there's no way, Minnesota's going to let him go. And then Seattle was in on him, and then it was like all of a sudden this came out of nowhere after Steven pointed out yesterday when he was asked about the depth on the roster, and he said, this is one of the best rosters we've had in the last 5 or 10 years, but just remember that, talent acquisition is 365 days a year, and sure enough, the next day they get him signed. I thought it was rather remarkable because, the key thing too, David, is, Mike Zimmer, right? You've been around him.
Yeah.
He doesn't mince words. He says what's on his mind. He doesn't just say stuff to be, politically correct or anything. And I found quotes from him saying, I want Everson Griffin back. We want him back. And I don't know if it was a money thing or what, but the Cowboys for a $3 million base salary guaranteed, with another $3 million in roster incentives, which basically are per game. You get paid so much per game, adding up to $3 million. For $6 million, they got a guy that had 8 sacks last year and 74 in his career, and had gone to the Pro Bowl. So, I think it's amazing if you. I keep looking back at the draft, and I keep looking and going, things just keep falling in this team's lap. CeeDee Lamb falls in their lap at 17. The Gallimore guy from Oklahoma falls in their lap in the 3rd and Diggs in the 2nd, and now this. Rather amazing. And I'll even go back to Aldon Smith. Why the Cowboys? Well, there was sort of a connection here because his agent lives in the Dallas area, and so. A lot of fortunate things are happening for this team right now.
Mickey, it would seem that if you lose Robert Quinn and then you have to replace him with rookies or, people like Tyrone Crawford who they know, but he's had a lot of injuries over the last couple of years, that Everson Griffin is at worst a lateral move from Robert Quinn, who was really good for them last year.
Oh, no. Yeah, absolutely. And, I was talking with Brad Chance today, and we were talking about the different veteran free agents they signed. And, I think somebody wanted to point out this is the 4th Pro Bowl player or former Pro Bowl player that they signed. If you look at McCoy, Gerald McCoy, Clinton Dix, and Dontari Poe. And now, I don't think it was, it wasn't Clinton Dix. It was Aldon Smith. They were counting him from 6-7 years ago. But this might be the best one of them all to get this guy signed and for that amount of money, because that's about what they were paying Robert Quinn last year. I think Quinn they got for like $7.5 million last year, and they get this guy for no more than $6. So that's a heck of a find, and it certainly shores up that right defensive end spot that I had thought was kind of iffy. It's like, can you count on Aldon Smith? He hadn't played in 5 years. Tyrone Crawford was coming off, dual hip surgeries. He only got 2, and both of them got repaired. And after that, you drafted a guy in the 5th round, Anai, but who knows? And the only other guy that really played that much over there last year was Dorrance Armstrong. And I think he had 1 sack, and no one else had any other sacks. So, I think this solidifies that defensive end spot, and now anything you get out of Aldon Smith is gravy.
Mickey, we have been waiting to hear from Jerry Jones, or some people have been waiting to hear from Jerry Jones, and now he's come out and spoke for the first time in a while. I know he talked Anthem and talked Dak and talked a lot of things. What stood out to you from what Jerry had to say?
Well, I think that's a lesson to everybody, that Jerry will talk when he wants to talk, right? Not just somebody wants him to talk. I thought it was rather brilliant how he handled everything, if you think about it, because I guarantee you, especially when you're doing interviews, and, we all know this, when you're not face-to-face with somebody, boy, you'll fire some questions at them, And you know, I thought, you know, the reporters came loaded for bear, and he diffused it, and basically had him eating out of his hands. You know, talking about the anthem, talking about kneeling, and basically, you know, everybody was quoting what he'd said previously 2 years ago, 3 years ago, whenever it was. And he says, that was then and this is now. And then he used the word grace. Probably, I think somebody counted up like 17 times. How are you going to argue with a guy that's saying we got to have grace? And I thought, you know, it was well thought out. And when he was ready to talk, he spoke. And I think he reminded everybody of how sharp he is still at his age.
I said this yesterday on the show. It might have been with John Machota, who covers the Cowboys for The Athletic. If someone hated Jerry Jones, and there's a lot of people that say they do, and then they get starstruck, and some that, no, they really don't. They don't like him. They can't stand him. But if they ever were to walk into a room, and Jerry was there, and he got 5 minutes with them, what are the odds out of 100% that he would change their mind?
99.
Yeah,
David, I've always had this saying: if Jerry's trying to sell you something, do not walk in the room and talk to him face to face, because you'll walk out by him. And you know, it's the truth as a businessman. It's the truth as you know, just a guy. I could remember this story, you know, when he got here in '89, and my dear late friend Frank Luxa, who wrote for the Dallas Times Herald, just was all over him. You got to remember, Frank covered this team from the beginning, and he was seeing a bunch of the people that he'd been around for 20-some years get fired, laid off, let go, and Frank was he was just all over Jerry every time he wrote, sarcastically. And every time Jerry would see him, he'd come up and shake Frank's hand and, how you doing, Frank? You everything good? Yeah. And one day he did it, and Frank looked at me and he goes, if I write one more bad thing about him, I think I'll be part of the family and I'll get an inheritance.
God.
I mean, that's just the way Jerry was and is, you know. And now he can get a little, you know, hair standing behind his neck when he gets mad at you. But he has a way of sort of, you know, kind of talking himself out of the corner. And I just thought he did a brilliant job yesterday. You know, he and Dak, by the way, both talking about how, you know, you got to listen. You can't just listen to what you want to hear. You got to listen to both sides of things and try to understand where people are coming from. And I thought it would have been one of his best press conferences he's ever held.
Mickey, how much are you going to get to watch on Friday?
I will be sitting at my desk looking out the window, and I should see the majority of what's going on the field, except for the fact that for about 30 yards along the sideline, they put up these tents, 2 tents. My understanding are they're probably for, you know, get guys out of the sun. There might even be air conditioning in them. I don't know. Because they're going to start practicing at 8 o'clock in the morning. So other than having a little bit of a problem looking over those tents with my binoculars, I should be able to see everything. Because they're only allowed to put so many people on and it's an NFL rule. You can only have so many people on the field at the same time, and that includes the media watching. So there'll be very few allowed on the field, and there'll be a lot watching from a couple of the star suites that or I shouldn't say suites, they're kind of conference rooms inside. So it'll be weird watching training camp practice without hearing anything, but at least we get to see. As a matter of fact, you guys, so we got all kind of protocols to get back in the building, and today was the first day, and I just went in to see, you know, how long it was going to take, So I go sit at my desk, and the first thing I look at is my calendar, and it's still on March. And the last thing I had written on a date was Tuesday, March 23rd. I think I worked the 24th, and I hadn't been there since. So I counted it up. It's been 140 days since I sat at that desk.
It's crazy. I know we got to go, and so do you. Dick Allen is having his jersey retired, the number 15 by the Phillies. He played most of his career there. Not all of it, but more than 50% of it. It was a hell of a player. Played 2 years for your beloved White Sox, had 37.
Oh, yes, he did.
He was really, really good, an MVP guy. He's just now getting his jersey. I don't know if he's a Hall of Famer, probably not, but he put up huge numbers, and he also played during sometimes what was kind of a quasi-dead ball period. Your thoughts about Dick Allen and the kind of player he was?
I give you two stories, and I can tell you this. When we'd run to Comiskey Park to watch the White Sox, when he was there, we basically went to watch him bat. And you never left the ballpark if he had one more bat coming up, no matter what the score was, right? I saw him hit a line drive, and you guys, I swear to God, I don't know if the ball was more than 10, 15 feet off the ground, and it was a line drive that went screaming into the bullpen. There was no arc or anything. It was a line drive. I don't think I've ever seen anybody hit the ball that hard, that far. And then the other thing, I hope I can remember the guy's name. He ended up being in the 70s a pinch runner for the Oakland A's. His last name was Washington.
Claudel?
And he was a track. He was a track star. Was that what it was? Claudel Washington?
He might have been, yeah.
Anyway, so he's a track star. Well, Dick Allen, he was Richie, right? He got to the White Sox and he became Dick Allen. He was a big guy with the horses. He loved horses. He loved the track. He loved the speed of the horses. So Washington gets on first base, and Allen's going to check out just how strong he is, right? So they throw over to first base, trying to pick him off. He picks the ball out of his glove, barehanded, and he rubs it up and down Washington's calf. And he was checking out his muscle like you would check out the muscle of a horse, right? And I swear, we saw it, and we just broke out laughing. I was at the game, and just hysterical. He never got cheated on a swing, I'll tell you that.
That's exactly
and,
right.
Loved watching him play. It's probably more than you asked for, but I remember that vividly.
Thank you, Mickey. Mickey Spagnola with us, DallasCowboys.com. Thursdays around 4:30, and now they're on the verge of, well, kind of a camp day tomorrow, right, Paul? That's exactly right, as Mickey was saying. When we come back, Troy Rogers, head coach at Lampasas, they've got a hell of a team coming back. They had a great team last year, just short of championship level. Joe Von Overshawn, who's a rock star within the Baylor Athletic Department today, will join us at 5. This is Sikkim 365 Radio. Pioneer Steel and Pipe. Heavy duty, bulky metal, steel, aluminum, pipe, stuff for metal roofing, components for metal buildings, and they also hire high-quality materials, making sure your metal building bids are structurally sound. Sometimes competitors will bid buildings lighter to what they need to be, make them cheaper. Pioneer Steel and Pipe oftentimes is concerned about the compromising structural integrity and make sure that you bid the right way and the bids come to you the right way. Offer fastest turnaround time in the business on metal building orders. They'll deliver it, unload it for you. And, of course, 1943, they opened the doors, and here they are today through all of the thick and thin. 77 years in the business, locations in Waco and Bryan, open Saturdays from 8 until noon. PioneerBoys.com. Family owned and operated, great product, great customer service. It's in their name at PioneerBoys.com.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131, 254-598-8131.
What are you supposed to do when you pull up behind a truck that doesn't even have a hitch? I mean, it's like looking at plumber's crack. Do you cover your kids' eyes, look away, and switch radio stations? Hi, Jay here from Pickup Outfitters, asking for your help to end this embarrassing form of truck nudity. If you have a truck, at some point you need to pull something. It could be a trailer to haul stuff off to the dump, maybe a jet ski, a boat, an RV, a horse trailer, even just a bike rack. The point is, put a hitch on your truck's backside. And at Pickup Outfitters, we actually install more hitches than anything else. Whether it's a receiver hitch, a gooseneck, or a fifth wheel, we'll cover your aspirations to not drive a nude truck. And all hitches are covered by the Pickup Outfitters Lifetime Installation Guarantee. So cover your rear end with a new hitch from Pickup Outfitters on Lake Air Drive in Waco, where we're fighting to end truck nudity in Central Texas. Check them out on our website at createacommotion.com/hitches.
Do you love Friday Night Lights? Would you like to have a bigger role than just watching the action to ensure the games are played fairly and safely? The Waco football chapter of the Texas Association of Sports Officials, or TASO, can make that happen. The 2020 Texas high school football season is right around the corner, and we need you to be a part of it. There's a shortage of officials across the state in all sports, and you can help. If you love the game and want to be a part of the solution, you can help our local student athletes continue to participate in games they love. Never officiated before? Don't worry. Waco Football Chapter can help you and prepare you to make the right call. And right now, Introduction to Football Officiating class is accepting registrations. Make your first grade call today by looking us up and contacting us on Facebook at Waco Football Chapter or at our website, wacofootballchapter.com. Find out more about the Waco Football Chapter of the Texas Association of Sports Officials, or TASO. Go to wacofootballchapter.com.
Texas board-certified personal injury trial lawyer and Baylor alum David Willis and Baylor alum Parker Willis are ready to help if you or a loved one has been wrongfully injured in an auto accident, SUV rollover, industrial accident, 18-wheeler crash, or were seriously injured by a defective product or recalled drug. Call them for a confidential and free case consultation at 1-800-GOT-HURT or visit them at texastriallawyer.com, principal office in Houston, Texas.
How often have you said it's time to get in shape? Every day, every week, every month, maybe for as long as you can remember? How about starting today? I promise if you'll just join Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness now, you'll thank me later. Hi, this is David Smoke, offering a variety of 40 classes every single week, including boot camp on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 5:15, plus spin, body shaping, Pilates, yoga, and bar. And there's a free Regional Tennis and Fitness open Monday through Thursday, 5 to 10, Friday, 5 to 8, Saturday and Sunday, 7 to 7, and personal trainers, Christy London and Randall Corley. World-class tennis facility with pros Britt Coleman and Joe Rosa with lessons, camps, and special events. Spacious and clean workout rooms, locker room for men and women, both with a whirlpool and sauna, and now there's touchless bottle filling stations. No intimidation, tremendous camaraderie, an entirely new atmosphere, and yes, you can do this, but you have to walk through the front door. It's time to react today, not tomorrow. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lake Shore Drive in Waco.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. This high school football segment is sponsored by Southwest Sports Medicine. We'll get you back in the game.
High school football. Next week, there are scrimmages in Texas. If everything continues and everyone continues to be smart about what they're doing, there will be scrimmages. And then next thing you know, we're 2 weeks from tonight would be the opening night of the high school football season. Troy Rogers, the head coach at Lampasas. Think about this. They've gone from 1 to 2 to 7 to 13 wins in his 4 years there. And, of course, he'd been there before. Troy Rogers is a player now, a head coach at Lampasas. You guys you made noise without question. Unbelievable run that you had. How much did that feed whatever kind of offseason you had, Troy, and now the last few weeks?
Well, I tell you, I mean, we have a bunch of excited kids in Lampasas and a community. I mean, it sparked a lot of interest, obviously, and we were able to use a little bit of that for the short period of time that we had our off season, and I think just that excitement about possibly whenever we got to come back. I think our kids did a good job of staying in shape and doing the things we asked them to do over that COVID break.
How was the enthusiasm when you did actually see them? I mean, I asked this to all the coaches because I'm very curious to know, how people probably just busting at the seams to get back together.
Oh, they were. I mean, that was one of the things. We did our summer conditioning. We had really good numbers turn out for that, but it's just not the same. I mean, it really wasn't the same until last Monday when we had our first football practice and we got everybody back together at the same time in the same place, and a lot of guys excited. Guys excited to go compete. I mean, it's just been so long since they've got to do something competitive, and these guys are competitive now, and that's a good thing. So it's been a pretty good week and a half of practice.
There's no question that there's concern about what is safe and the health, but isn't that the case when you play football, when you put the pads on? And yeah, I understand COVID is a different animal here, but how much of a mental stress relief health issue is it that they can get out and get in the fresh air and go play and compete, as you mentioned?
Well, I mean, I think it's everything, and I understand what we're all going through, but these kids, they're safer when they're with us than when they're away from us. And you tell a 16-year-old me that I couldn't go hang out with my friends. I mean, they're going to find ways to do it. They're going to go do those things, and and when they're with us, we're masked up, we're doing all the CDC guidelines, and so I really think they're safer here, and they're just excited to be here.
Troy Rogers, head coach at Lampasas, with us on Sikkim 365 Radio. Sometimes the community because you played there. And then sometimes coaches are smart. They know what talent is coming up through the middle high or middle school, junior high systems and who's coming through the system. What did you know, Troy, about Ace Whitehead when you took the job?
Initially I didn't know a whole lot. I mean, I knew, he was a good quarterback. They had a good class. I mean, his whole class had some athletes in it. And getting to watch him play when he was in 8th grade, my first year here, and you could see that there was obviously an athleticism and talent there, and it's just been fun to coach the last 4 years.
How has he handled being the player and getting the recognition? He's committed to play baseball at Texas, but he's not the only one. You've got receivers who have put up huge numbers. You protect for him. You play defense with what you've done before. How has he handled all this?
Well, he's just a normal kid. I mean, you would know that he was that guy just by seeing him walk down the hallway. I mean, he's just a humble kid that is a great teammate, and he's, I think that's probably one of his best attributes is that he has not let anything ever go to his head. He's been the same guy, and he's the same hard worker that he always has been, and so I think that's that.
Troy Rogers, by the way, played there and was Stephen F. Austin Axum, by the way. We got Colby Carthel coming on at 5:30 They're going to try to continue to play even though the Southland Conference is shut down. You've been at North Shore. They have a history. Obviously, the last few years they've been even more amazing, but they've been good a long time. Baytown Lee, with all the history of the quarterback play down there. Copper's Cove. Louisville, the Farmers used to be very, very good back in the day. So you've been around. You've seen what has been successful before. How much of that have you saturated or soaked in?
Well, I think you take bad from where you've been, and I've been blessed to be places that I've taken a lot more good than bad. And my mentor really was Coach Owen, who was the head coach of all those Baytown League schools that set all those records.
Yep.
I had a great mentor in John Kay at North Shore for the 2 years I was there, and really got to see the inside of a elite program and how it's really done. So that's been good. I wouldn't change that for the world, and not taking a lot of those things and try to implement them here. Even though people were like going from North Shore to Lamp, but it's not the same kids, and we can't do the same stuff, but we can still have the same mentality. And that's kind of, I think, the culture we've been trying to build here.
Yeah, they have Demetrius Davis. You've got your own Demetrius Davis. I'm not two different type of players, but what they've done recently, isn't that insane at that level?
Oh, it is. I tell you, it doesn't surprise me one bit. Honestly, it's just the way things are done with Coach K and the history before Coach K, but he's been in the program his whole career, and his leadership and the way they do things. The discipline that's in that program is really unbelievable, and the talent there, but they coach those kids hard and they responded. So I think that's a tribute to the coaching staff as well.
Yeah, you know the disciplines there when they send home a 5-star, brilliant type running back on the eve of a championship game and never blinked and won it anyway. Troy, thank you very much, buddy. Appreciate your time. Stay safe. Who do you scrimmage next week?
We have Navasota coming to town.
There you go. All right. Isn't it going to be fun to be able to get to that point?
Can't wait.
Thank you, Troy. I know you practice it as well. There's another one that went for Kedrick. That's Troy Rogers, Lamb Passes. Thanks for his time. They took Carthage to the brink last year, going 13-2. What a climb, though. 1 win to 2 wins to 7 wins to 12 or 13, I guess it was. When we come back, Jovan Overshawn of Baylor University. This is Sikkim 365 Radio.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Cam Heathcott, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Cam Heathcott, covering Conroe and Houston, 936-756-7717 or cam.heathcott at edwardjones.com. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
In great times or tough times, you always feel better working with someone who's there for you. When it comes to great banking, people here count on the First National Bank of Central Texas, here to help you, your family, and your business. Personal banking via phone, desktop, tablet, and drive-through. And business banking tailored for all situations, including yours. Amazing tomorrows from the First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental. Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma, and they have to come here. They're used to lights, they're used to water in their mouth, they're used to experience, they already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8-year-old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate, unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So, bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers and everybody the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more. Stonewood-dental.com.
The biggest summer sale is still on at your friend in the car business, Alan Samuels in Waco. The summer clearance event is where there's still 0% for 72 and no payments for 90 days on almost everything. The world's most awarded SUV is on sale. Jeep Grand Cherokee with 0 for 72 financing and no payments for 90 days. Or choose Jeep Cherokee, Jeep Renegade, or Jeep Compass. All 0 for 72. Update your ride and save at Alan Samuels.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, French oak, rye, and brimstone. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support you while lowering the cost of healthcare bills. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio.
It's blocked. Another blocked punt. Emerson Griffin has the football, and he's going to have a Viking touchdown.
The 5 o'clock hour is brought to you by Edward Jones and financial advisor Cam Heathcott. Edward Jones, making sense of investing. Here's David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
Back on Sikkim 365 Radio. Standing by on the Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac Baylor Bear Hotline.
Just give me a second.
Here we go. There we go. Sometimes there's air in the gas or water in the gas tank. But Jovan Overshone joins us, Baylor Athletics Senior Associate AD External Affairs. Well, first of all, great to have you on. I got to start with this quote from Jeremiah Dickey. You scared, or you looking forward to this?
I mean, who knows? This is going to be awesome.
I sent a text to him, and I said, tell me about Jovan. And this is his response. She is a rock star, extremely valuable to me and us. She will be an AD before I will.
Oh, my goodness. That is very gracious. Very, very gracious.
Relentless, elite level with grace.
Very, very kind. No, he is. He's so good to me. Yeah, I mean, I'm lost for words, which is rare for me. So that is very, very kind.
All right, so tell us, and we'll get into some things, Baylor Athletics, but tell us about helmets and heels. I've seen this before. There was a webinar earlier. You were a part of it. That's how I kind of said, okay, it's a good chance to get you on. Tell us and everyone else about helmets and heels.
Yeah, no, it was an honor for me to be a part of it. So I feel like most are aware of, well, certainly aware of Paul Bear Bryant and his incredible legacy in college football. But then there's obviously the annual Coaches Award that goes along with his legacy. And this is actually the first spin-off of that event that really honored and celebrated the female kind of trailblazing side of this initiative of his campaign. So this was the first inaugural Helmets and Heels event. And again, it runs in conjunction with the Paul Bear Bryant Awards and really kicks off that campaign. But it was just a neat event to be a part of, to just celebrate, all the great things that women are doing in the industry, and then of course the amazing survivors of heart disease and all other conditions that the American Heart Association is a resource for.
Javon, these last few months they're unprecedented in college athletics.
Yep.
You spent probably the majority of the last 5 months in a Zoom meeting or something similar to that. Is there anything that you can compare this to?
Wow. No. I mean, it's boy, has it taught us a lesson in fluidity and being flexible. And we joke about it here, but like our buzzword is pivot. Because we have done that more times than we thought we ever would in a lifetime. So yeah, this has been unlike anything I think most of us have ever went through.
Javon, how do you feel like everybody's been able to come together? We've heard so many things either from Mac or from Dave Aranda when we've had the opportunities about, health and wellness team, the strength and conditioning staff, the nutrition staff. I mean, people like yourself. Can you kind of describe the collaborative effort that it's taken, but also that's taken place with you guys trying to, move forward as best you can?
Yeah, I mean, you said it. Move forward as best as we can. And that is really what this kind of collective charge has been for us. You saw in the announcement yesterday from the conference, it said, our student athletes have a desire to play, and now it's our job to find a way to do so safely. And then even for those that do have a concern, there are those. It's a way to find ways to comfort them and give them peace. And I could not be more proud of just the way that Baylor has executed. Been very transparent up front, and then our health and wellness team, just really top notch. I mean, you'll hear Mac say it, the best in the country. And just the collaboration, the willingness for everybody to just do what's best for one another, for our students. It's just really been impressive to see how we've rallied together.
Mac Rhodes, by the way, just sent me a text, and it's very simple as Jeremiah's. Yes, she's one of our rock stars. And now you have this thing of being relentless, and yet with what's been going on, you giggle at that. But with what's been going on, you have been able to, along with many others, take this head on, figure out ways, and yet also trying to turn this into an opportunity. How do you do that?
Yes, athletics, competition, sports, this is what we do. But it's just one of many branches, or for us, pillars. I think this is a time where we've had to stop and focus and recognize where we've kind of put our priorities or our weight. There is life outside of sport. We all know that. We teach our athletes that beyond their time with us. So this has really been one of those times where we've tried to get creative and focus on, academic pursuits, how we're pouring into them mentally, spiritually, how are we developing them as people. And it's pushed us to get creative. And it's not that it's been easy at all times, but you just really have to realize and remember who you are, and we have such a unique distinction being Baylor. So that's really what we've done.
How much of kind of reevaluating some things and again, some of this stuff is constantly in flux anyway, but like mental health for student athletes,